It's my pleasure to introduce the day's events. We're honored to have a special screening of the documentary film Satook, directed by praCh Ly, which we commissioned as part of the exhibition. Since it opened on April 30th, Revealing Krishna has been transporting visitors to a sacred mountain in the floodplains of southern Cambodia, where a monumental sculpture of the Hindu god Krishna lifting Mount Govardhan once stood. The exhibition explores this sculpture for the first time in the context of its original environment, in an effort to bring the spirit of Cambodia to our galleries and onto the National Mall. We commissioned the documentary to bring Krishna's 1,500-year history into the present and connect with contemporary Cambodian communities. Titled Satook, a word of blessing spoken at the end of Cambodian prayers, the film examines the transformation of religious traditions through the ruptures of the Khmer Rouge genocide and immigration. The film runs 30 minutes and centers on 4 intimate conversations with Loung Ung, Bonieta Lach, Mea Lath, and Pon Carvi Ly. They share their personal experiences, memories of their parents, and reflections on their communities, journeys, and beliefs. On September 18th, the great sculpture of Krishna lifting Mount Govardhan will go home to the Cleveland Museum of Art, and Satook will begin its next life, streaming in full on our website for access anywhere in the world. Today, we have the opportunity to see Satook on the big screen and also to hear a conversation between 2 pillars of the Cambodian American community: the film's award-winning director, praCh Ly, and renowned author and humanitarian Loung Ung. I'll tell you more about them after the film, but now please enjoy Satook. So the beginning of my work on Revealing Krishna coincided with a new initiative here at the National Museum of Asian Art to focus on Asian religions, especially through engagement with communities living in America. I thought, let's make a movie that looks at Cambodian religion and asks what the role of the ancient sacred landscape means to Cambodians living in America today. This might be shown inside the exhibition, or it could go online as a way for visitors who couldn't physically come to the museum to engage with the exhibition. So I called up the great Cambodian dance choreographer, Sophie Lien Cham Shapiro, and asked her who could make the film. She had only one suggestion: talk to praCh Ly. My early conversations with praCh were exhilarating. His passion, knowledge, and interest in the subject were immediate. His embeddedness in the community was obvious, and so was his creativity in thinking through how this film could be made. He quickly expanded the documentary's scope and convinced me he needed to travel around the USA, gathering stories and perspectives from people in multiple communities and with a range of different faiths. I quickly saw that not only was praCh the right person to make the film, but Satook was an integral part of the exhibition. It needed to have its own space in the galleries. I'd never heard of a 30-minute documentary being shown inside an art exhibition. If museums include videos, they're typically less than 10 minutes or they're atmospheric. Satook was something different, and it was essential to the story. praCh and I had long conversations at least once or twice a week during the year it took to make Satook. I learned a great deal from him, but my priority as the exhibition's curator was that creative control of the film stayed with praCh and the Cambodian community. I'm grateful to everyone involved for making it the powerful, beautiful, enduring work of art and history that it is. Now I'm honored to introduce our speakers. praCh Ly entered the global stage as a musician. His debut album was the first rap album to make #1 on the charts in Cambodia. And since then, his involvement in film has ranged from scoring and creating original music to producing and directing projects including Enemies of the People and In the Life of Music. He's also the co-founder and co-director of the Cambodia Town Film Festival in Long Beach, California, home to the largest Cambodian-American community in the country. Currently, he's developing an original symphony commissioned by the Long Beach Symphony. praCh recently learned that he is the first rapper ever to work with the symphony in its 88-year history. Interviewing praCh will be Loung Ung. Loung is no stranger to sharing her stories with global audiences. Her novel, First They Killed My Father, is the story of her childhood during the Khmer Rouge and her immigration to America. It was turned into a feature film by Netflix in 2017, directed by Angelina Jolie. Loung is a widely acclaimed human rights activist and lecturer and the national spokesperson for the Campaign for a Landmine-Free World. Please join me in welcoming praCh Ly and Loung Ung.
This is so exciting. I get to put you in the hot seat. How are you feeling?
I'm good. Normally I would interview her. So this is karma. So now she's interviewing me.
And for those of you in the audience, if you have questions and things you want to say to him to put him in the hot seat, you have your moment in a little bit. But
Yeah, chirip su luk min pu sok sabai.
so bye.
How many Cambodians in here?
Woo!
You guys get louder than that at a karaoke session. Come on. How many Cambodians in here? All right. We have a Cambodian here too, all the way from Long Beach. That's my Cambodian brother. My Mexican Cambodian brother, no way.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, this is great. And I've known praCh for 20 years, I think. And like many other people, I saw him at CIRAC one time, and don't remember the song he sang or the rap song that he sang, but when you got on stage, you just mesmerized all of us. And right then and there, I became a big fan, got all his CDs, yes, back when CD was a thing. And I just started following you around. I started creeping on you. Because I could see that not only are you multi-talented, multi-hyphenated, very sweet, very kind, your passion and love for Cambodia is infectious. Your respect for the culture, your admiration for Khmer, and also your ability to know all the Khmer wonderful restaurants wherever you go in the world is a talent. And so I am so honored and so happy to share the stage with you. And thank you so much for Satook. Thank you so much. Everybody, round of applause. Yeah.
The honor's mine to share the stage with you as well. I think I met Loung for the first time at the CIRAC 30-year anniversary. And I remember she's like, I was talking to her after I performed, and I was talking to her, and she comes and saying, you know what, whatever you do, make it count, and take no for an answer. Go out there and get yours. And I just it resonated with me that whole time. And then that kind of formulated to a lot of things with like the Cambodia Town Film Festivals and such. But musically wise, I can't get all the credit because one of my longtime producers here, Ryan, he's been with me since my first album, and he produced most of the tracks. And also he composed most of the music you hear here. So thank you, Ryan, for being here.
It's really so easy to be on stage with you because you're so good at this. I got my list, 3 pages of questions, and I know our time is really short. I just want to say that in addition to you being awesome, and Rich Kane of the OC Weekly called praCh the king of Khmer rap, which is, if you haven't already heard him and his rap CDs, they're now online, so you can actually just get them. CNN said this of you. Everyone wants to express themselves like him, but they're afraid. In Cambodia, no one would dare to say what he say. It's inspirational. And that is true. That is so true. With that said, I have, again, 3 pages of questions, and we're just going to get to it. And I want to leave some time.
Go for it.
Now, we're going to get to it. So first, tell me a little bit about yourself and what you want us to know about you.
Not much. I'm a very kind of private person. I don't, like, I mean, I have, like, I'm on social media and stuff, but, like, I go on Facebook and post something, like, once a month, just to let people know that I'm still alive. You know? Like, I have a phone, but it has not been activated in over, like, 13 years, which is true.
It's true.
So most of my friends, it's like a love-hate relationship, right? When they trying to contact me, and I just said, if I have Wi-Fi, I'll get, like, cell service, and I'll call you back, I'll contact you back. But it's for me, it's like, it's the little thing in life that we neglect. And I think I got that when I went to visit my brother in Florida. And my brother's here too, by the way, he's in the film. Mangpon? So I remember I went to visit him a long time ago, and then I had, like, a cell phone, and I had a pager, I had, like, a beeper. You guys know what a beeper is, come on. So I had all that, and then I would take pictures with my niece, and then I believe my youngest niece, I don't know if she remembers this, but Anita, my youngest niece, she comes up to me, she goes, "Why are you always on the phone? What pager's going off?" She's like, "I bet you $5 you can't go without your phone." So I took her on her bet, and then that week became month became years, and now it's been 13, 14 years now without an activated phone.
Wow. That says a lot about you. You told us a lot about you in that.
Yeah.
Now,
Don't do it, though. Don't do it. It's crazy.
So when you started Satook and you had a vision for the film, is the end product what you envisioned it from the beginning, or did it change a lot along the way?
Well, Satook came about. Thank you, Emma, for the Smithsonian and the museum approached us, and I think the email was, I was at Vita's house. I think Vita's here somewhere. Yeah, there she was. I was at Vita's house when I got the email, and the email was like, we're looking for a filmmaker to do a interview with Cambodian Americans in Long Beach about religion. And then I pitched it right away to Kaylee. So I was like, hey, Kaylee, why don't you direct this film, and then I'll produce it, like many of her other films. And then Kaylee's like, yeah, I'll do it. So if you don't know who Kaylee is, she's an award-winning filmmaker from Long Beach, California. She co-directed a film called In the Life of Music. If you haven't seen it yet, go online now. You can purchase it online on Amazon or whatever it is platform that you guys can get on. It's called In the Life of Music. One of the producers here today, Nirdai. So it's an incredible film. It was selected by Cambodia to represent it in the Oscars, to represent for Best Foreign Picture in the Oscars in 2020. But so Kaylee was supposed to set to direct. So we had that in hindsight, but then a new project came about called The Harvest, and it was a feature film. And she's like, hey, I have to step back and then work on this film, The Harvest. So I thought to myself, I'm like, you know what, most of the people that I know that I think should be interviewed, I know already. So why won't I do it? I mean, I produced other stuff before. But Satook is my first time directing a film. And I emailed Emma back, and I told her, I'm like, hey, instead of just interviewing people in Long Beach, can we go out to different communities? You know, there's a huge communities in Lowell, Massachusetts of Cambodians. There's a community in Florida. There's a community in Ohio. So why not we get their stories on how they feel and not just Long Beach itself. So I pitched her that idea, and then they said, this is a great concept, but can you do it within this budget? You know? So, and of course the producer and me kicked in, I'm like doing the budgeting. I'm like, yes, we can do it. And that's what's the genesis of Satook.
Well, and what's amazing is that you probably has the biggest Rolodex of people, of names of people, everybody, you know, all the Cambodians in the world. You are a connector. You know absolutely everybody, and we all consider genuinely that you are a friend. We call you our Khmer brothers. How did you go about deciding who to interview, and what were your connections to them?
Well, in any films, I didn't want to do this film where you sit down and do the interview. I want the person or the character to tell their own story. And I also wanted to have a beginning, middle, and end. So the thing was, I swear to God, this is true, because I knew there was something about Krishna's statue coming from Cleveland, coming to, oh, hi, Mia. I just saw her. Coming to D.C., coming to D.C., and then immediately when I heard Ohio, Cleveland, like, I know someone in Ohio, Cleveland. I know Loung Ung, right? So I wrote her in immediately, and then I contact her and I say, hey, Loung, I'm gonna do a film for the Smithsonian about, you know, something. And she didn't even ask. She didn't even ask me what I was doing. She just said, okay. Yeah. Immediately, she's like, whatever you're doing, okay, I'm in. I'm like, wow, that was easy. And then come to find out that she narrated the timeline for the Krishna Museum. That's part of Here Now, right? The timeline with Angelina Jolie. And she didn't tell me that. So I'm going back and forth with her. I'm like, oh yeah, you know, I think I'm pretty cool now working with the Smithsonian and the museum. And then come to find out that she already narrated the timeline for the thing. So she was the opener, but before we even signed any contract with the museum, I knew that we needed to get filming of Bon Pchong Ben. If you're not Cambodian, if you don't know what Bon Pchong Ben is the most sacred ceremony for Cambodians of the entire year. It's like the day of you're praying to your ancestors and whatnot. And I knew that when we were in conversation, it was like September already, and then Bon Pchong Ben was early October. And I got with my cinematographer, Robert, and I told Robert, I'm like, hey, I haven't signed a contract yet or anything, but I need to get shots of the Bon Pchong Ben because we cannot reenact it, and it has to be natural. So we went there, and then I remember, like, we went there to scout out the Bon Pchong Ben the first day, and it was like 15 people. I'm like, oh, this is good. You know, we're going to control the crowd. The next day we went, it was about 20 people. We're like, oh, yeah, this is perfect. We're going to control the crowd, right? And the day of the filming, it was like a couple hundred people came. And as you can see from the film, you know, Robert, he's a tall guy. And the woman, the older woman that you saw in the film that you were following, that's my mom. So she's not here today, by the way. Yeah, she's at home. But I kept on telling Robert, I'm like, hey, follow her, but make sure you have like her eye level, you know, not to tower over her. So you have this white guy with this all these cameras and kids following this petite woman throughout the whole thing. And we had to be very careful with it too, because, you know, we didn't, because it's a very traditional, very spiritual and blessings and whatnot, and we didn't want to overstep our boundaries because of that, so we had to be very careful. And once we got that shot, then we knew that we had something going.
Well, what was amazing also that I got your call and your email, and again, I didn't even know what you were doing. I was just like, yes, but we're in the middle of COVID lockdown, and you had to go to 4 different places, states, interview all these people during the middle of a lockdown. I was like, how are you gonna do it? What was that like?
It was, yeah, it took us 2 weeks, and we went to 4 different states in 2 weeks. So normally we would go with like a film crew, you know, you have your boom guy with the sound guy, you know, you have your assistants and stuff like that. But due to COVID, and especially with the lockdown and everything, we had to downsize everything. So the whole film that you saw shot, it was just me and Robert. So we shot the whole thing with like one camera. So all the angles that you saw, that was all set up, it was storyboarded and everything like that. But we had to minimize. And then I remember I keep on telling Robert, I'm like, hey, Robert, pain is temporary, but film is forever. So I kept on telling him that. I was like, I hope neither him or me catches COVID, because, you know, we already had everything scheduled. And it would, you know, we're an independent filmmaker. We don't have studios backing us up or anything like that. So a shutdown will be a complete disaster for us. But luckily, we just kept pushing through. I don't want to say we went over budget, but I ended up paying Robert with fishes. so that worked out.
Well, there are so many moments in the film that it's just beautiful and soulful and touching. And I have to say, 2 scenes in particular stayed with me. And one is the creation of your brother's village. And then the burning of that. It was so emotional, and you know, the part of me that just loved film, just like, wow, that is so powerful. But then there's the other part of me, the Khmer worker part of me, and I was like, how long did it take to build that, and how long did it take to burn that?
You know, growing up, I didn't know much about my brother. He didn't really talk much about what he went through. But during the past couple years, he kind of started opening up. And once he started telling me his story, that's when I knew that I have a closing for the film. I didn't choose him specifically because he was my brother. I chose it because of the story that he was telling. You know, like as a kid, he grew up around a temple, right? And when the Khmer Rouge took over, they turned that temple into an interrogation center, into a prison. And then he ended up being there, and then they took all the Buddha statue out. They started killing people there. And at the end of it, what's the full circle is that my dad, I remember they saying that if he survived, he would go back and do something in Cambodia. So our father went back to Cambodia and helped build that big Buddha statue in Battambang. And now it became like a tourist attraction in Battambang. So that was for me, it could be subjective, but for me, it was a full circle for his story. But talking to him, like he didn't have videos, he didn't have pictures, right? And in films, it's about showing, not telling. So at first, I was telling Robert, I'm like, hey, I'm gonna reconstruct like maybe tell his story through like a shadow puppet. But then rethinking about it, I'm like, you know what, let's make something different. Let's make something practical. So I started going over these footage that I had when I went to Cambodia, and I saw the picture that I had of the temple, and also the basat next to it. And I'm like, you know what, I think I can build a miniature of these. So I just started like cutting, pasting, gluing, whatever. And then I end up having the temples and the basat. And then I'm like, you know what, what's missing is the village. So I started building the village in my room. And I went through a lot of bottles of bourbon. And I end up having a village. And I told Robert, I'm like, hey, I think I have a village to burn. And he's like, what's up with you burning villages? And then we came over, we set it up. It took us about 3 hours to set up the village. And it took us about maybe 2 minutes to burn. So I was like almost in tears when the thing burned. I'm like,
It's like, did you have multiple cameras at that? Because it's a one-time thing, right?
No, actually we only have one camera. We have one camera and one older camera to give that old vintage look, that old VCR vintage look. So we had like one old camcorder and then one of his digital camera.
I just think it's so brave of, first of all, your brother to do the interview with you and that for you to do it. I'm wondering what that process was like, because I know when I interviewed my grandmother for one of my books, I think it was Lucky Child or Lulu in the Sky, and I have such a hard time interviewing other Khmers, and especially when I was interviewing my grandmother, I could not get the questions out because when I was talking with her, she would do this thing and she would talk and she would cry, but she wouldn't even wipe her eyes, but she did this motion and placing her hands on her chest, and just as she was talking, she was rubbing her chest in a circular motion. And I didn't think I could finish it. And for you to interview your brother, and obviously he was very emotional, did you learn a lot about him that you didn't know? And your stories, and when you were interviewing all the your other friends, were there things that you'd learn about them that you just didn't know before?
Yeah, I did actually, and when I interviewed him, I kept on telling him that I'm gonna refer to him as a third person, I'm not asking him from my brother, whatever, you know. So I would ask him from a third person and then have him answer it directly. And I've also told Robert, I'm like, whatever happens, just keep the camera rolling. You know, I don't care if he punches me or whatever, just keep the camera rolling. And I mean, he was open and honest about it. And you yourself, you know, and all the interviewees, Bonieta, Mea, they were very honest with their answer. And I told them, I'm like, this is not my story. You know, this is your story. So I'm not getting anything out of this. I just want to tell your story. So tell me your story. And of course, you know, you have to have the questions ready and the stuff. So, but, you know, we sat down for the interview. Each people that we interviewed was like an hour and a half long. And then we had to cut it down to about 4 minutes each. So you imagine what we had to cut down. And Frank, my editor, is here. Hey, Frank. He did an amazing job. I think Frank wanted to kill me like on three different occasions. Yeah, we were going back and forth, and we're like, what's to edit out and what not to edit out, and you know, how to keep this, how to keep that. But you know, again, at the end of the day, it's you guys' story that what makes the film.
Well, also it speaks volume to your character, your decency, your respect and your love, not only for the people you interview, but for Cambodia, for the culture, for Satook Khmer, for our food and our music. And so I know, I speak for myself, and I think for the people you interview, is that we just trust you. We love you, we trust you, we think, you know, we just, you know, we could be open with you because we know you were going to treat Cambodia well. And it wasn't about us. It's what we were all hoping to do, was to create something spiritual and soulful to share with the world about Cambodia and Cambodia's stories and history. And you did that really beautifully. And I just want to say thank you again for that.
Thank you. It was challenging at first because telling Loung Ung's story, it was like, you know, I was like, I need to get these footage from Netflix. And I remember the museum calling me, how are you going to get the rights from Netflix? I'm like, just let me handle it. And then finally I got the footage from Netflix, and it completed the, you know, it kind of like completed the story to tell the story.
Well, you got the footage from Netflix because you have a fan in Angelina Jolie as well. So, you know, she was instrumental, and she really, really enjoyed it as well. So did you, in the process of making this, and then you know, I want to leave time for people to ask you questions. Did you learn something about yourself or your belief? Were there belief or faith or something about the culture, about yourself, through the process of making this film?
I'm not really. I just kept pushing forward. It was like, it kept me busy. And then with the film festival, if you're ever in Long Beach in September, not this year, but next September, every September, we always have a Cambodia Town Film Festival in Long Beach that me and my co-director, Kaylee So, we run. and we show all these beautiful films, and the learning process is just, as an artist, you're always developing. You always want to develop. For me, I've always think that if I'm the smartest person in the room, I'm in the wrong room, because I wouldn't be able to learn anything. So I try to surround myself with people and learn different things and different stories. And even like in my rap song, in my music, you know, like if you listen to it, it's like a 3-minute mini movie, a short story. So I just put that and put it more into the film process-wise.
Now, one last question, and then I have a couple of rapid fire questions for you to answer quickly. How did you get your mom to be in the film, and what did you do to create that, to make her smile that way? Were you just being like a really good son that day? I love that. I love her smile and her giggling. I want to make my mother-in-law smile like that.
Well, my mom still don't know she's in the movie. She has not seen it. I wanted something genuine where she's not acting. You know, I just told her that, hey, there's gonna be cameras. They're not filming just you. They're filming the Bon Chong Ben. But you know, so it's like I don't want to say manipulating her or anything like that. But I didn't want her to act, right? I just want her to be natural. So I told Robert, I'm like, hey, Robert, just here's what we need. Just follow her. And then once in a while, just go film something else for like B-rolls, right? So she'd feel comfortable, so she doesn't feel like she's the main person, right? So with that being said, she just felt natural. She just, you know, for her, it's just another day at the temple. To get her to smile, I think I'm going to hell for this. But my mom, she has a hard time hearing, right? So during that time, like me and Robert, we set up the camera, and I just said, smile, you know, like just, I was smiling at her, she's like, what? And then the monks asked her to smile, she's like, what, I can't hear. So then I started yelling, right? Because she can't hear, and then people walked in, they saw me yelling at this woman, you know? And I'm like, I'm not yelling at her, it's just she has a hard time hearing. But then when me and the monks start joking around, that's when she smiled. So when she saw me like talking to the monk and smiling at the monk and stuff, that's when she smiled. And then luckily, the camera was there in her face to capture that moment. And then right when we saw that, I'm like, that's the one. That's the one we're gonna end the film with.
That was the giggle and smile that could heal, you know, so many wounded hearts. So I'm glad you captured that.
It melts my heart every time I see it. Like, you know, my late father who passes away, it was hard. We finally found video footage of him. Everyone sent me like video footage. I had like 3 hours from Bonieta. I had like 8 hours from other people. And imagine you have like VHS, video cassettes, all these other things, right? So I had to buy all these different type of players. I had to buy all these players to convert these CDs, mini CDs, VCRs, whatever they had. I had to buy all these converters. I had to go on eBay to find it. But like there was a moment for Bonieta where she was, you know, where she says, "Daddy, I miss you, Daddy," you know. And right when I saw that, it was just like a 2-second, you know. But like right when we saw that, I was like, okay, I think I got that. I think I got that. And then I knew where it should go to. It should go to the part where she's talking about her father passing, and then just add that in there where, like, you know, the daughter is still, as a child, still loving her father.
All right, I have 5 rapid questions that you answer. Don't think about it, just give me the answer. And then we're gonna have 5 minutes for the audience members to ask you questions. 1, favorite Khmer noodles, num pachok or katil mpeng? Don't think about it, come on, num pachok katil mpeng.
Katil Phnom Penh.
Good answer. Okay, favorite mangoes, green or ripe?
Favorite what?
Mangoes.
Green
mangoes,
of course.
green
I love
mangoes,
sour.
right? Green mango, salt.
Swaju and Belmate, come on.
Belmate, yeah. Durian or jackfruit? Come on, durian or jackfruit?
None. Jackfruit.
Oh, no. Fried crickets or fried tarantulas?
Fried what?
Fried crickets or fried tarantulas?
Fried cricket or fried tarantula? Both. I like both.
Good answer. Okay, coconut juice or Angkor beer?
Market Brewery.
Oh, thank you. My husband and I are actually owners of Market Garden Brewery. We make beers. That one would have been better.
Yes.
Market
Market Brewery, guys.
Okay.
She owns a pub, a restaurant in Ohio called Market Brewery. Market Garden Brewery. Make sure you go there. Love the beer.
Yeah. Last one, and then I'm gonna open it up.
Quick one, real quick. I went to her brewery place. She gave me free beer, right? And it cost me almost $300 to import that beer back home.
I brought you more beers, by the way, in my car. So yeah. What does Satook means to you?
Satook to me means peace and prosperity.
Bravo. With that said, I would do a mic drop, but question from the audience, put them in a yes, wow.
I've obviously known you since I was young, so I've always wondered what was that pivotal moment that made you transition from an individual artist into a producer?
An individual artist to a producer? I've been a producer for a while. Like, I didn't just work on my own music. I've also helped produce like the second language, and then vice versa, the group. And then I kind of transitioned into films because I was scoring sounds and soundtracks for films, and I've always wanted to make films, but I didn't have the money to do it. Like, even with my rap album, like my first rap album, I made it out of like karaoke machine, right? But then once you believe in something, you just push it forward and get it done. And then with film-wise, I say, okay, instead of you paying me for me making music for your film, can I be on your set when you're filming? And when I go on set, I would ask questions, to the producer or director, whatever. And that was my class. And then once I got together with a certain group of people, that's when, things started to happen.
You know what was so funny? Weren't we in Cambodia together at the same time when I was making First They Killed My Father? Weren't you also there making another film?
Oh, yeah.
And that's why you didn't answer my email when I texted you.
No, I blocked you for a while. No. We always joke around. No, they were filming First They Killed My Father, and then Nerdai was there. She was in Cambodia. Yeah, and then we were in production of filming In the Life of Music. And I remember, like, our associate, one of our associate producer, Johnny, during casting, he's like, man, Angelina's casting all the Cambodians. Like, we're not gonna have any Cambodians star in our movie. And I'm like, Johnny, you're in Cambodia. You can find Cambodians, you're in Cambodia. So, and then we just exchanged emails, and I was getting like she was giving me her dailies about the filming of the making of First to Kill My Father. She sent me like behind the scene stills and stuff like that. And it's an amazing film. So thank you for doing that and opening it up as well. I keep on looking at your Tara, and you remind me of like those Apsara pictures. With the three Apsaras where they're sitting like that and looking out the window.
Well, for those of you who haven't visited the shop out there, there's two Khmer ladies, Ido and Iyen, who are designers of these Angkor-inspired jewelry, and they are beautiful. You see some of us wearing the ear cuffs. I decided to wear the tiara today,
Also, if I believe in the gift shop, there's a book called Khmer Generation. You should pick it up because it's brand new here. And I don't want to plug this in, but I'm in that book too. But it's a beautiful book, beautiful stories about, Cambodian Americans throughout the States.
And the book Revealing Krishna is also in the shop, and if you don't have it, you must pick up a copy. It's really it's a beautiful book, and there's so much to say. But I think we have time for one last question.
We have one question
and then
here.
we're going to move over to the reception.
So today,
So today.
I was wondering, as a younger generation Khmer American, how can we connect with our culture and religion when language is such a big barrier now?
She asked you. I mean, going into making of this film, it was never a wrong or right answer. I think I told them that immediately, like asking them, I was like, I didn't want them to make them feel uncomfortable. So I'm like, whatever you believe in is you believe in. And there's no wrong or right answer, but just tell us your story. But now with the younger generation and the adults, you have the generation gap, right? Is that what you're talking about? Yeah, between the generation gap, like my brother was saying, he's like, I don't know much about Buddhism, but it's been on from generation. My grandfather, great-great-grandfather, and it kind of passes on, and that's what he believed in. And then for me, if my advice is, we don't really get to experience the purity of our religion because we're a diaspora, we're refugees. We come here and we try to learn new things as well, but try to learn it as best as possible any way you can. Like I don't want to compare religion to food again. Like my mom would cook me food, and I love her food, but she's getting old where she's starting to forget how to cook the food. So now, like when I see her and she asks me what I want to eat, I tell her what I want to eat, but then I sit on the side with a pen and pencil, and I will write down what she because parents, they don't have a recipe. It's just more like by hands, And then once they're gone, that's it. The recipe is gone. So for me, I would try to learn from it, and I will write it down. I have like notebooks and notebooks. I still use notebooks. I know there's computers and stuff like that, but I still love the writing process.
And there are so many aspects of language, right? It's not just, I speak enough Khmer to get around, but it's not fluent by any means. But I speak the language of appreciation. I speak the language of respect. I speak the language of love. I speak the language of really admirations. When I'm in Khmer, I don't have to speak Khmer, but when I see an elder person come by, sitting there, when I walk by them, I bend a little, right? And when I see a Khmer person, I sampeh. And when I see a Khmer elder, or I'm actually older now, so they call me Ming now, and I will call them Ta or Pu. I actually will learn the language, these type of appreciation language, and I think that goes a long way. So it's just don't work only on the Khmer language, work on the language that Khmer love. Khmer love food and culture and dancing and wearing proudly Khmer jewelry and Khmer clothes. I make it a point to always represent somehow when I'm doing any events, just to wear some Khmer clothes, have a Khmer scarf, have Khmer jewelry. I want to be proud in not just with the language, but all aspect of Khmer culture. And so I think that's so important. And then they build one upon the other. You start with a tiara, next thing you know, I'm going to have earrings on, and next thing you know, I'm going to have bracelets as soon as they start making more stuff. So I just think that we have to do all of that. I think that's all the time we have. Thank you so much. Oh my goodness, you are so good. This is why you're a director. Yes.
I would wear the tiara too if I had one.
You can.
Can we get the cast and the crew of Satook to come up? Ryan, Mia, Frank, Robert, Bongpon, Vita. Who else am I missing here? Bonieta. Emma. So this is Mia, the classical dancer. I don't know what gives it away. And Ryan, the music composer. Loung, I don't think she needs any introduction. You have Frank, our editor. Emma, the curator. Who are you again? Wait, Robert, he's our cinematographer. And that's my brother, Pon in the white. And then Bonieta. And our associate producer, Vida.